This is actually really challenging to stay in. I'm so curious, what has JJ had? Kia ora and welcome. My name's ZoeStibi and I am your vocal coach for today. In today's vocal analysis, we're going to be taking a look at JJ with Wasted Love. Never heard the song before. Super excited to see what he's up to with this vocal technique. Before we start the video, you can download a free singing lesson in the description below on how you can find your chest voice, because I guarantee that JJ is going to be using his. Anyway, back to JJ. Okay, so we've got this stiff vocal fold where the original is actually rock back and the vocal folds become really stiff. But that's why we've got this kind of hollow sound. I'm an ocean of love. It sounds really breathy, but actually the sound uses very little air because we've got such a small amount of the vocal folds at the front touching. We really don't need to push the air, otherwise we go out of tune. Let's just listen to it again because we can hear every single word that he's singing, which means that we've got lovely articulation going on. This is actually really challenging to stay in this voice quality for a longer period of time, because what can often happen is we feel like we're getting a little bit lightheaded, but we also kind of in the excitement and with the heart racing can sometimes tend to push a little bit of air, but JJ's doing an amazing job so far. So we want to be practicing our scales in the voice quality that we're using in the song as well. So keeping the volume really with a ba-da-da-da-da. And you see that he's really, really close to the microphone, which tells us that the volume is really nice and low. So curious, what has JJ had for vocal lessons? I thought so. This sounds like a very trained voice that we've got here. So JJ is currently studying classical music, and just to make sure I get this right, at the Music and Arts University in Vienna, which is absolutely fantastic. Very hard university to get into, studying classical singing, and you can really hear a full countertenor sound here. Countertenors are not actually in falsetto. We heard that falsetto-y kind of sound at the beginning, but then we've gone into a thinner vocal fold, more of an operatic sound where we take a lowering of the larynx and we get an increase in the AES narrowing, which is what that twangy sound that we're hearing there, to make sure that that voice can go up and over the orchestra. This sounds really lovely. Watch the way in which his mouth shape has changed now from that beginning falsetto-y sound into this more classical sound. We're going from a wider to a more up and down. So did you notice that we went from more of a wider mouth shape to a more of a north-south, sort of a more, this more open, a rounded mouth shape, you could call it. We also have less understandability. We have worse articulation now that we've gone into more of that classical sound, and it tends to be widely accepted within the classical community that we don't really hear when we're up there in that soprano range, because it is very hard to really articulate when you are trying to get. Now the space is, we do see this lovely space inside the mouth here, but actually the space is created more here at the back of the throat rather than here within the mouth. That's what we know through watching singers through the MRI scans of the shapes of their actual larynx or their vocal tract here at the back. So we also heard a little bit of sharpness coming into the tone there at the end of that more falsetto-y sound. Let's just go back on that. Not to poo-poo JJ, I'm just, as I said, when the heart rate is going, it pushes the air out of the voice. So it pushes the air a little bit again, well, because, you know, the heart's next to the lungs. It's pushing the air out, and that can turn the note a little bit sharp. So lovely. And this song has been written specifically, obviously, for JJ's voice and the idea that he can do this with his sound. So we've got this, we've got very, very light articulation going on there, because in a verse, when he had to go into more of those wider vowels, these slightly more, let's just go back on that, because when he started to needed to say more words, it came out a little bit strained. Yeah, go with he closed down the with I would have gone with to make those more up and down. But again, it's honestly a very stressful situation right here. And we can see, it's changing between a more contemporary sound and a more classical sound. This is really hard for the voice. This is like hardcore cross training, people. I'm quite liking this change. It's also very hard to listen to in terms of like, oh my goodness, what is he doing with his voice? But we heard they're really, really typical of classical singers trying to get more mass on the vocal folds. It's not really coming together. And again, please, I'm not poo-pooing JJ. He sounds like a fantastic singer. Really, really, really cool what he's doing. I just wanted to show you what's happening when classical singers often, or when singers who've been singing classically or trained classically trying to get more mass, which is what I feel like he was trying to do there. Just listen to this. So did you see there when you go, let me go? What we've got there is actually a thinner vocal fold. Sounds really loud, but the volume is coming from the twang that we're getting on the sound. Let me go. And then we've gone back down into a section of, where we really want to get a little bit more mass on the vocal folds. And what's happening is they're just being blown apart there because we would want the larynx to go back into more of a vertical position. Let me go around the, you let me go, and stay in such a thin position. It starts to sound a little bit woofy. And this is a really typical thing with classical singers, that we need to be able to get that larynx back into that neutral position to again get better mass on the vocal folds in this midsection of the sound. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. We've got you've got me on to, oh, I don't really know what the words are. And that's what I'm talking about with more of a vertical larynx. We've gone into what everybody would typically call more of a chest voice quality. So if that's something that you really struggle with when you're singing up high to come back down into your chest voice quality, and you feel like you just can't get the power and the volume down there in the lower part of the range, then check out my free singing lesson available in the description below, because it's a 3-day Find Your Chest Voice challenge. And I really do take you through the steps to get back down into that lower part of the range there and more vocal fold contact. That is our goal. So we're going to see there though, it doesn't really matter in this sense though, because JJ's not really spending so much time down in the lower part of the range, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a blending going down, because it is also important for classical singers as well. I'm holding on to hope. Okay, I do like the performance. I do sort of feel like it's a lot of classical sing, but again, Eurovision, we're open to anything. We're absolutely open. I'm not going to say like, this is not that. The song is kind of going everywhere, but it is a very epic sort of sound, isn't it? I would have loved to have had a bit more choir coming into this section. So we've got these lovely harmonies at the beginning, and I would have loved to have heard a little bit more kind of, I want to say meat coming into the sound, like a little bit more depth with more voices in the background. So you can really see there though that JJ's got his eyes closed the whole time in the performance. Anyone who's been on my channel before will know that I'm not the biggest fan of closing your eyes. Your eyes are the window to your soul. Open them. You can close them, of course, for really heartfelt moments in the song. Open those eyes. Communicate with your audience, because it allows them to come in and it allows them to really connect with your song. So next time you're watching performances and you're really feeling a connection to the performance, think about, are their eyes open or are they closed? Are they letting us in or are they shutting us out? Because this, for me, if a singer was standing in front of me, I would say you are now having a bit of a moment to yourself, which is lovely to have that in certain parts of the songs, but it really ends up being all about, I'm going to feel all the feels, and you want to make sure that your audience is feeling them, not just you. It's a high C sharp 6. So if you've ever heard of the word high C, it's what a lot of singers kind of aspire to get up to. I genuinely don't believe that range is a very good telltale of whether someone is a good singer or not. When you just start working on the voice, the range naturally starts to grow anyway, because, well, it just gets more flexible, it gets more fluid, it all becomes a little bit more easier. So we're up on the C sharp 6. Again, that's a fantastic note. We heard it was a little bit flat there for JJ, but we are seeing quite a lot of smoke going across what's it called? The stage smoke. My brain's gone a little bit dead there for the moment. So anyway, we've got a lot of that smoke going across the stage there. That can cause quite a lot of drying in the vocal folds themselves. We also see that he's opening his mouth quite wide there in order to, he's really wanting to get up to that note. I would have said, and again, I'm not JJ, I've been in this situation before though, where the note is just not coming out as you want to. You want to think about reaching up really, really tall in the back in order to support through the head and the neck, because we've got quite a lot of fluidity going on here in the movement, and I would have liked to have seen a little bit more anchoring in order to stabilize those muscles of the larynx to get up there. But if you really want to be able to stand on stage and it to come out exactly the way that you have practiced, then check out the link in the description below, because my online singing school, the Vocal Academy, is accepting new students. You can go through our weekly singing lessons and submit your recordings for me to take a look at and give you feedback on what you should continue working on. We also host bi-weekly live masterclasses, and we have monthly practice groups where you get to sing in small groups so that you can get direct live feedback on your singing. So check it out in the description below. I'd love to help you to gain more stability and more security in your singing voice, much like JJ has done through the course of his fantastic career. So young and yet so fantastic. Lots of work has gone into his singing. Did we see there though? The arm, we saw the arm go up. Again, there was a little bit of the anchoring. We had the it was just probably maybe the mouth was opening a little bit too wide. Sometimes when we open the mouth too wide, we can push the note down a little bit. We got thinking about, and again, it's a little bit easy I have a teeny tiny larynx and I'm also a high soprano, much like JJ. So we've got this lovely anchoring going on there. Even just that arm coming down, we've got both arms coming down there, is going to engage those muscles through the back. Okay, so this is a little bit of like a techno bit at the end there. So I really do like the way that JJ is really bringing us opera into the Eurovision stage. He's saying he's staying really true to his sound that he's obviously been working on for a really long time. Please do not, I mean, he obviously has a natural talent for this, but I really do believe that when we say someone has a natural talent, that we are undermining the fact that they've worked so hard on their singing as well. It takes a lot to get into a university like he's currently studying at, and it takes a lot to sing at this level, especially this high. So good. Well done, JJ. I am really excited to see that in the final for Eurovision. Let me know down in the description below who you think is going to win though, because I haven't had enough of a look at the performances, but as we go on, I definitely think I'm going to have a bit of an idea. But I've usually been wrong, to be honest, until this point. I genuinely did not believe that Portugal was going to win a couple of years ago. So it could be anyone's game. But we've got this, again, you sort of wasted. We've got this more rounded mouth shape there. And actually a lot of the volume from this opera quality is coming from that twang or that AES narrowing that we've got going on there, which is the epiglottis comes down and it creates a space in which our ears hear best. And that's the way in which we boost the frequency so we can be heard over an orchestra. But you don't need to just be singing classical music in order to want to get a hold on your twang. If you're wanting to learn to belt, if you're wanting to learn to sing louder, if you're singing, well, most contemporary music styles, especially like mixed voice, actually, let me just say, all higher and louder singing needs to involve some sort of twang. So if you want to sing higher and louder, then check out the link in the description below, because my Vocal Academy does have a course for you on how to sing higher and louder. I'd love to see you there. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you around here more often so that we can geek out about more vocal technique together, and especially take a look at some more of the Eurovision. Check out some more Eurovision here, and I'll see you around here next time. Can't wait to take a look at more Eurovision. Happy singing. Just remember that anyone can learn to sing. I'm just here to give you the tools to help you to do it. And it really is about constant practice and knowing what you're practicing, and especially getting the feedback, which is why at the Vocal Academy, you can submit your videos, we take a look, and then we give you feedback on what you can continue working on. Have an awesome rest of your day. Happy singing. Ka kite anō.